2020-21 budget is applicable only for this mains examination. But the other one, that is 2019-20 budget is applicable for the prelims examination. So what is our program today is give a general aspect regarding the government budgeting. That is what given in your syllabus, government budgeting, central as well as the state government budgeting. There for the prelims examination, as you know, the multiple choice question is only there. We have to approach on that basis. That means especially those topics which are more relevant for the multiple choice question, we have to discuss. That means general preparation, general aspect relating to the budget preparation, and after that the Kerala budget, the specific programs and all the other things with regard to Kerala budgeting also is necessary. So we will start with a general approach for the preparation of a budget, the steps to be taken, etc. We know as far as the present budget pattern, general budget pattern is concerned, many new features we can find. The earlier budget prior to the recent, that means Modi government, UPA government budget and the present budget you are comparing, you can find out many distinguishing features for the present budget that is presented in the parliament. For example, previously presentation of the budget itself, date of presentation itself was different. All the earlier time, you know, the presentation was last working day of February. Last working day of February was the day for the presentation of the general budget during the earlier days, UPA government period. But we have shifted. The presentation of the day is now first working day of February instead of the last. Instead of the last working day, we find the present budget is at first working day of February. That is one distinguishing feature with regard to the present general budget presentation. Secondly, another most important difference is that we had railway budget on the one as well as the general budget on the other. Such a bifurcation of the general budget as well as railway budget, or railway budget was bifurcated from the general budget for the first time during the British period, 1924. In 1924, during the British period, we find that the railway budget was separated from the general budget. A separate budget was presented for the railway also. And that practice we have continued even after the independence. We find railway budget presentation as well as the general budget presentation was separately done. But we find now this Modi government have again integrated, merged the railway budget also along with the general budget. So now we have only one budget, general budget, but that doesn't mean that the railway budget is not included. Provisions we include. Railway budget provisions are also included in the general budget. That is why we say the railway budget is merged with the general budget at present. So there is only one general budget inclusive of the railway budget we are presenting. So that is also another characteristic feature we find, distinction we find. A third distinction is that in all the previous budgets, especially the UPA government budget, you find the entire expenditures, the total expenditures of government was bifurcated, divided as planned expenditure on the one hand and non-planned expenditures on the other. That was the method. That was a method of bifurcating the total expenditures during the plan period. Plan expenditure as well as non-plan expenditure, the bifurcation of the total expenditures for the budget provision. But that practice also we have stopped. that practice of bifurcating the entire expenditures as plan expenditures and non-plan expenditures is stopped. We have now find the scheme expenditures of scheme expenditures as well as expenditures on non-scheme purposes. In such a manner, the expenditures are now divided, bifurcated. Instead of the plan expenditure as well as the non-plan expenditure, we have the different pattern adopted in the present system. So, these are some of the distinguishing features with regard to the general budget presentation. You may know that on the day of this budget presentation, 3 budgets or 3 accounts are separately presented. For example, we find first of all, let the present budget, the current budget, we have already presented the next financial year budget, that is 2020-21 budget, that is already presented. That means 2020-21 budget is already what is presented. Next financial year, starting from April 1st of 2020 to March 31st of 2021. For that period, next financial year, we have presented a budget in the current financial year. The current financial year is not completed. The current financial year means 2019-20. 1920 financial year, current financial year is continuing, because the current financial year will end only on 31st March of 2020. This time March 31st only the current budget will be completed. So, in the current year 2020 February 1st day, we have presented a budget for the next financial year. That budget is what is known as estimation budget. Estimation budget. A budget is presented which is known as estimation budget. Therefore, the estimation budget is for which year? Estimation budget is for the ensuing financial year. The next financial year means 2020-21. For the next financial year 2020-21, starting from April 1st of 2020 to March 31st of 2021, a budget is already presented in the Parliament, and that budget is what is known as estimation budget. Here, you know, it is an estimation budget. What do you mean by estimation budget? Budget refers to what? Budget actually means annual financial statement. It is an annual financial statement showing what? Receipt as well as expenditures to be made during the next financial year. But the receipt are revenue receipt are not correct figures. How can you expect the correct figures, correct revenue that may be collected during the next financial year? This time we cannot say. What you make in the revenue side is estimation, estimated revenue. Estimated revenue means on the basis of the previous experience. We expect that so much amount of tax resources, so much amount of non-tax resources we may receive in the next financial year also. But the figure is not exact. It is only an estimation. Estimated revenue, probable revenue that may be received during the next financial year. And so also expenditures, exact expenditures for all the different departments or activities also we cannot. You cannot make an assessment, exact calculation, exact expenditures required for different items we cannot make. There also we make an anticipated expenditures, expected expenditures on different items. Therefore, in the estimation budget, what you make? Estimation budget is only annual financial statement showing the estimated revenue and anticipated expenditure during the next financial year. For the next financial year, what is the estimated revenue? and what is the anticipated or expected expenditures. So, the financial statement showing estimated revenue as well as anticipated expenditures is the budget known as estimation budget, which is presented for the next financial year. In the current financial year, you are presenting for the next financial year anticipated expenditures on different item as well as the estimated revenue from different sources. That budget is what is known as the estimation budget, which is prepared for the next financial year. At the very same time, during this period, we have also presented another budget, which is known as we may say revision budget or revised budget. A revised budget is also presented. Already we have presented a revised budget. A revised budget for which financial year? Current financial year. Current financial has not completed. March 31st of 2020 only the current financial year is ending, and the current budget will also be closed only after March 31st. About the last year, the estimation budget prepared for this current year is now working. There some adjustment with regard to the total revenue collection as well as expenditure may be essential. And that estimation budget presented last year, some correction is required, and that revision is made in the revised budget. So, the revised budget is for which year? Current financial year. Current financial year, current financial budget, that means 2019-20. 2019-20 current financial year, some revision is necessary, because the current financial year budget is prepared last year, estimation budget. Last year's estimation budget is now working. There is some correction with respect to the revenue as well as the expenditure may be necessary. That revision is also done for the current budget. So, the current budget revision is also done, which is presented in the parliament known as revised budget. Our revised budget is for the current financial year. One more budget we are presenting, that is called final budget. A final budget is also presented. So, the final budget may be for the previous financial year. The previous financial year already closed, and in the closed financial year, exact revenue as well as the exact expenditures on different item, now we can make as an account. Correct expenditures on different type of provisions mentioned in the budget, as well as we may say the correct revenue received from different sources, can also be assessed only with regard to the previous financial year. So, which is the previous financial year? 2018-19. For the period 2018-19 already completed, the exact revenue from different sources as well as the exact expenditures made for different purposes we can assess. That budget is what is known as the final budget. Our final budget is for the previous year. Revision budget is for the current year. Estimation budget is for the next financial year. About all these three accounts or three budgets are presented during this time of budget presentation, budget session. All the three budgets we are presenting. But we know, as a layman or the general public is interested only in the estimation budget. What the government is going to do in the next financial year is most important question. We are interested as a general public, we are interested only the schemes, the government next time, what are the provision, what are the activities, what are the expenditures that may be done by government for the benefit of the people during the next financial year. That is the most important, interesting area for the general public. So, usually we discuss in the newspaper. In the newspaper or in the television channel, we see the discussion relating to the budget provision on estimation budget. Next year budget, next financial year budget provision is the most important, may say, interesting area for the general public. We forget about these two usually. General public, they are not interested in the revision budget or in the case of the final budget. Especially the final budget is rejected by the general public as a post-mortem report. That is only a post-mortem report wherein they are not at all interested. But as far as the civil service is concerned, government is concerned, definitely the revised budget as well as the final budgets are equally important. Equally important, and the general public, we discuss and criticize only the provisions relating to the estimation budget. So, we are also concerned with the preparation of the estimation budget. We take the estimation budget only, the revision as well as the other budget is of no significance. So, take the estimation budget, how the estimation budget is to prepare estimation budget. In the case of estimation budget also, 3 accounts are presented. We are presenting 3 accounts which is consisting of what is called the estimation budget. And the 3 accounts are, number 1 is what is called estimation budget is consisting of we may say 3 accounts. One is what is called the consolidation budget. Consolidation budget, one account that is presented for the estimation budget is consolidation budget. And the consolidation budget is to prepare according to the provision, constitutional provision, article 266(1). That is 266, article 266(1). On basis of the provision contained in the constitution, article 266(1), consolidation budget is to be prepared. You may know that the budget itself in case of India is a constitutional provision. According to the constitutional provision, article 112. On basis of the article 112, it is compulsory that annual financial statement should be prepared, and on the basis of the provisions contained in the budget only expenditures can be done by government. So, it is a constitutional provision, and in the constitution, article 266(1) states that a consolidation budget is to be prepared by government for the estimation budget. Then another account is what is called the contingent. Consolidation budget, we are taking the consolidation budget. Then we may say contingent account is also to be prepared. Contingent account or budget is to be prepared. That also is a separate one, contingent account. And there is a third one, what is called, and the contingent is based on the 267, article 267 provision, 267, the contingent account is prepared. Then according to 266(2), article 266, same 266, but 2, we have another account known as public account. So, the estimation budget to be presented for the next financial year is consisting of 3 accounts, and the 3 accounts are consolidated account on the one, that is based on 266 article, the contingent account 267 based on article 267, a contingent account is to be prepared, and 266 public account is also prepared, which is taken together, we may say the estimation budget. Here first of all we may take the last one, that is the public account. What is the significance of public account? Public account, you know that government is in a way a banker. Government is similar to a banker. In a way government is a banker. In what respect we say that government is a banker? Government is regularly receiving in various account they say contribution from the general public. We maintain several accounts with the government, and in that account regularly we are also making our contribution, our deposit. For example, all government employees have to maintain what is called the GPF account, General Provident Fund. GPF account, General Provident Fund account, where monthly from our salary a contribution is made in our deposit, and that is for our benefit, our contribution. We make a contribution in the General Provident Fund, and we can also take a loan. We can also sometimes take a loan from the GPF account for specific purposes, marriage purposes or construction purposes, house construction purposes, illness, for treatment. In such cases, we can take a temporary advance from the GPF account. That means similar to the commercial bank receiving regularly deposit from the customer, government is also receiving. Government is also receiving monthly deposit for the GPF account, LIC account, family benefit scheme. Many such accounts are being maintained by government departments. So, government is in receipt. Regular receipt government is getting from the general public, which is kept by government. That money is also available for the government expenditures. Government can also utilize that money for government expenditure purposes. About being a banker, government should make an account. Show in the account that how much money government is expecting by way of contribution by the general public in various accounts. How much amount of contribution is expected from the general public on various accounts. How much amount of loan government is to make from all these different accounts during the next financial year. Such an account is prepared to show only what is the expected income from the general public by way of contribution under different heads, under different accounts, and how much amount of loan is expected to pay from these accounts maintained by government. So that government is to prepare what is called a public account. It is a contribution of the general public. It is maintained by the government, and the money can be utilized by government for the government expenditures. So, we want to know, the general public, we want to know how much amount government is expecting by way of contribution of the people during the next financial year, how much money government is expecting to pay loans from this account. For that purpose alone, this account is maintained. You see that there is a most important provision that the thing that we have to remember is that this account, withdrawal of money from this account, operation of this account require no previous permission of the Parliament. Parliament permission is not at all necessary for the withdrawal of money from the public account. No permission is necessary. Why? No permission is required to government to withdraw the money from this public account, because it is our contribution. It is a contribution of the general public. We contribute, and if we want, we can take a loan, and when we submit a loan application, government further sanction is not necessary, permission from the Parliament is not necessary. If I am eligible, if sufficient money in my account, if I am eligible, the concerned officer who is maintaining the account can give a sanction to withdraw money. He can allow that loan to me because it is my contribution. From my contribution, I am asking for a loan. If I am eligible, the concerned officer is sufficient, he can permit. No further Parliament permission is necessary for the operation or for the withdrawal of money from this account. For example, GPF account. GPF account in Kerala here is maintained here in the AG's office. AG is sufficient, AG can sanction. If you apply for a loan, AG can sanction the loan. If you are eligible, you will get. No further permission from the Government of India or the Parliament is necessary for the operation of this account. So, that is the thing we have to remember with regard to the public account. No prior permission of the Parliament is necessary for withdrawal of money from the public account. As it is a contribution made by the general public, for their purpose, if a loan is to be sanctioned without any further concurrence from the Parliament or from the higher authority, they can operate. That is the provision with regard to public accounts. Then contingent account. From that word contingency, contingent account. It is maintained for what purpose? It is maintained for meeting unexpected contingencies. Unexpected contingencies may arise. There can be an accident, natural calamity, flood or drought, anything may happen unexpectedly, irregular. We cannot make any prediction with regard to the probable occurrence of such types of events. At any time, anything, accident may happen, or earthquake or cyclone, any such things may happen without any may say anticipation. Random features, random factors, these are all called irregular random factors. To meet with such unexpected random factors, an account is to be maintained according to Article 267, which is known as contingent account. And the authority for the maintenance of the contingent account is President of India. President of India is responsible for the maintenance of the contingent account. Then, with regard to the operation of the contingent account, no prior permission of the Parliament is necessary for the withdrawal of money from this account also, because it is for a contingent purposes. Unexpected contingency purposes, immediately some money is required. At that time, permission of the Parliament we cannot obtain. The MPs may be at their village. They cannot be called immediately to the New Delhi, and the concurrence of the Parliament we cannot. It is not possible. It is not possible to get the concurrence of the Parliament for the withdrawal of money to meet the unexpected contingency. No such a requirement. Without the previous permission, government can withdraw. Money can be withdrawn from the contingent account and the purpose can be met. But after the contingency is over and after the money is spent, the fact should be reported to the Parliament. Such and such amount is withdrawn, for such and such purpose it is withdrawn. Such a report is to be presented by the government to the Parliament after the contingency is over, in the next Parliament meeting that is to be presented. So that Parliament will be going through, Parliament will accord sanction. Ratification, Parliament will do what is called ratification. Parliament will ratify the action of government in withdrawing the money without the concurrence of the Parliament because of the emergency situation. Because of the contingency nature, government withdrawn such a amount without the permission of the Parliament. That action is ratified by the government, by the Parliament. Our Parliament will ratify the action of government in withdrawing the money from the contingent account and meeting the purpose. Not only that, Parliament will also sanction the amount withdrawn for the contingency purposes by way of grant. And you may remember that at present it is consisting all time a rupees 500 crores. All time 500 crores of rupees available in the contingency account. For this time, suppose because of the urgency, some 100 crores of rupee is withdrawn to meet the contingency. 100 crores of rupee is withdrawn without the permission of the Parliament to meet the contingency expenditures. For the time being, balance is only 400 crores of rupees. 400 crores of rupees. After ratification, along with the ratification of the action of government in withdrawing the money, this 100 crores of rupees withdrawn from the contingency account is also sanctioned, granted and deposited. And it is deposited in the contingency account, so that all time the contingency account will contain 500 crores of rupees ready to meet the contingency expenditures. So, along with the ratification, the amount withdrawn is also sanctioned by way of grant and it is credited, recredited. It is credited or recredited in the contingency account, so that all time the contingency account will be containing 500 crores of rupees at present. Above, though there is previous permission not essential for the operation of the contingent account, ratification of the parliament is necessary. Ratification of the parliament is necessary with regard to the operation of the contingency account, and the contingency account is always containing 500 crores of rupees. Whatever amount is withdrawn for contingency purposes is recredited in the account by way of grant given by the parliament. So, that is with regard to the contingency account. In case of the public account, prior permission of the parliament is not necessary, ratification or subsequent sanction or nothing is necessary with regard to the public account, and here a subsequent ratification is necessary on the part of the parliament. Then the most important account is what is called the consolidated budget, consolidation account. Government of India account, that is consolidation account, is the most important account to maintain by government for all type of government expenditures. This is consisting of, the consolidation account is consisting of two accounts. The consolidation account is, two accounts are consolidated, that is why it is known as consolidation account. One is what is called the revenue account, 1, and the other is what is called capital account. Our consolidated budget or consolidated account is consisting of two separate accounts. One is called revenue account and the other is called capital account. The consolidation of which is what is known as consolidation account, which is essential according to Article 266(1) of Constitution. So, we know already, we have seen in the last class what is a revenue account, what is a capital account. Revenue account is what? Revenue account is maintained to meet the revenue expenditures. What are called revenue expenditures? Unproductive expenditures, obligatory expenditures of government, obligatory expenditures, unproductive expenditures, social welfare expenditures, recurring expenditures year after year, every budget we find provision for such types of expenditures. For example, defense expenditure, government employees' salary expenditures, pension expenditures, then subsidies, expenditures on subsidy, social welfare expenditure, all type of social welfare expenditures, all are met from revenue account because all these expenditures are unproductive in character. But to meet with the obligatory expenditures, it is an obligation of government, though it is unproductive, not at all profitable to government, it is an obligation on the part of government to spend money on defense, money on social welfare purposes. It is essential for the well-being of the people. And so, it is a recurring, continuous, every budget we see that expenditures on such provision, which is withdrawn from the revenue account. So, revenue expenditures are met from the revenue account, the items we know. Similarly, another account is their capital account, productive purpose expenditures for asset formation, asset creation, wealth creation, productive purpose expenditures, unlike revenue expenditures. Revenue expenditures are unproductive, not at all wealth creating, income generating, no production, nothing in revenue expenditure. But if an expenditure is made from this account, creative, wealth creation purposes, capital accumulation purposes, productive purposes, income generating purposes, the account is maintained. Two accounts, and the two accounts are separately maintained. So, you suppose you take the two accounts separately, we are taking the two accounts. For example, the revenue account you are taking, revenue account. Revenue account will be consisting of two columns. First is receipt, revenue received, received revenue, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ receipt is there, and in lakhs of rupees it is mentioned, in rupees it is mentioned, revenue. So, in the revenue account, first column revenue from various sources. What are the sources? Only two sources we have already seen in the last class. Revenue sources means tax revenue or non-tax revenue. The complete revenue in the revenue account is divided into two. One is tax revenue, tax revenue. So, take one by one. Under the tax revenue, income tax, wealth tax, gift tax, all the different types of taxes are mentioned, and against estimated revenue, the probable revenue that may receive on all these different types of taxes during the next financial year, we make an account based on previous experience. Based on the previous experience, anticipated amount, estimated amount on all these different items is mentioned in this column. So, that all the sources, tax sources, we have to mention one by one. After that, the second only two section, non-tax provision. There also, what are the non-tax provisions? Suppose, for example, their income or the dividend from the public utility services, that is the public sector income that may be received, or the dividend and all the other things received from the public sector enterprise undertakings, what is expected income. Then by way of non-tax fees, by way of fees, what amount is received. So, in one by one all the items under the non-tax is also mentioned, which consists the total revenue for the revenue account. Similarly, against that, the expenditures to be made in rupees from the revenue account is also correspondingly mentioned. And the items we know, many items are there, we cannot show all this item. For example, defense, for defense expense, how much? Salary purpose, government employees salary purpose, how much? Pension, how much? Then subsidy, different subsidy, what is the amount? In this manner, a number of items we are taking under the expenditure side also. One more thing we have to remember, under the revenue account expenditure side ilana central government giving grants to state governments as well as union territories are met. Along with all the other types of expenditure, one expenditure also we give special significance, and right here that is grants given by the central government, grants to states, grants to states. Central government is giving grant to the state government as well as the union territories. All the grants given by the central government to the union territory as well as the state government are met from the revenue account. Why? Why it is met from the revenue account? Because it is a grant. It is a grant given by the central government to the state government, just like father giving a pocket money. Just like father giving a pocket money to the son. Central government is giving grant to the state government for any purposes. But the amount is not returned, it is a grant. It is not repaid. The amount is not repaid by the state government back to the central government. No interest is also paid. No interest is also paid by the state government to the central government. This is a loss amount. On the part of the central government, this amount is given to the state government. So, as far as the central government is concerned, it is not at all profitable, These grants given by the central government to the state government is not at all profitable to the central government because the amount is not repaid by the state government. No interest is also paid by the state government to the central government. So, as far as the central government is concerned, it is unproductive and hence met from the revenue account. It has a significance. It has a significance. We will come in the next time. We will come the significance of that. So, we are mentioning about various expenditures along with the various expenditures met from the revenue account with specification. One more item is mentioned with a special reference, that is the grants. Grants given by the central government to the state government as well as the union territory met by the central government from the revenue account, since it is unproductive, unprofitable to the central government. So, this is called revenue account. So, similarly, we are preparing the next capital account. There also, you see, capital account is also consisting of two heads, two columns. Revenue in rupees, expenditure in rupees. Revenue as well as expenditure. Revenue as well as expenditure in the capital account. But the capital account is maintained for what purpose? For the creative purposes, productive purposes, income generating purposes. So, individually you have to mention what are the projects for which that money allowed from the capital account. So, capital account is also well drawn. Expenditure for capital expenditure also mentioned. Now, if you take the revenue of the capital account, one of the revenues in the capital account, we may say as an example, disinvestment revenue. Public enterprises are being sold. Public enterprises are being sold. What type of public enterprises? Loss-making public sector enterprises. Loss-making public sector enterprises are being sold by the central government to the private, which is called disinvestment. That money, that revenue earned by the disinvestment of public sector enterprises is also included as revenue in the capital account. It is the revenue source in the capital account. Which revenue? The revenue earned by the sale of public enterprises which are running at a loss. Loss-making public sector enterprises, when it is disinvested, that amount is also included here. In the revenue side of the capital account, it is included. Then recovery, loan recovery. Government has given loan, and the recovery loan amount repaid is also included as a source of revenue under the capital and not revenue account. Not in the revenue account, recovery, loan amount recovery, repayment, the loan amount given by the government, it is included as a source of revenue in the capital account. Then borrowing, many such items, government borrowing, internal as well as international borrowing by government for meeting expenditures. For meeting public expenditures, revenue sometimes borrowed by issuing bonds and other things. Government may borrow money from within the domestic economy or borrow from international sources. We have already seen that. Madam? That is also. All the other internal as well as international revenue that is received is included under the revenue side of the capital account. If it is to be repaid, definitely that is a obligation, debt obligation on the part of the government, which is included under this revenue side of the capital account itself. The amount is, it is obligatory. It is obligatory to government to repay that amount with interest according to the terms and conditions. So, it is included under the revenue side of the capital account. Internal source as well as international sources are included. That is expenditure, that is not revenue, that is expenditure coming here. That is expenditure. This is a revenue source, and what is received by the government from domestic as well as international sources alone is what is included in the revenue side of the capital account. So, one by one, here we make a mention borrowing. Government borrowing is included under the revenue side of the capital account. It has also one implication which we will see later. Now, these are all sources and expenditure one by one for different projects, expenditure and allotted amount will be mentioned capital account. A separate revenue account and a separate capital account is maintained by central government, where in both account revenue sources as well as expenditure. Here also revenue and expenditure. And after that, these two are consolidated. These two, revenue account as well as the capital account, is consolidated. That consolidation is in a particular manner. Now, that method, process of consolidation of the revenue account and the capital account in the preliminary examination, it is not useful. There cannot be any multiple choice question from the process of consolidation. Now, the consolidation process is significant and important only for mains examination, and so that we are avoiding for the time being, as we have to quickly pass on to the other topics. We may avoid the process of consolidation. How it is consolidated, we need not take now, as it is only applicable to the mains. Anyhow, we may say it is consolidated. Consolidation, this is consolidated. That is called a consolidation budget. About the two accounts, revenue account as well as the capital account, is in a particular procedure, particular method, adopting certain principle, it is consolidated. We call consolidation budget. Both are same, consolidation. Then, with respect to the consolidation budget, what we have to remember? As in case of the contingent account, as in case of the public account, what we have to remember, especially with regard to consolidation budget or consolidation account, is that no money can be withdrawn. No money can be withdrawn from the consolidated account of India without prior permission of the Parliament. Without the prior permission of the Parliament, no money can be withdrawn from the consolidated account of India. Previous permission, prior permission, what on account? First of all, get the permission of the Parliament for the withdrawal of money, even if 1 rupee. For the withdrawal of money from the consolidated account of India, government require prior permission. Previous permission, without which no money can be withdrawn from the consolidated account of India. In 2015, many occasions there was question. Based on this, a multiple choice question was usually asked. You can note that question. In 2015 August, a question was asked with reference to the union government, consider the following statements. With reference to the union government, consider the following statements. 1. Department of Revenue is responsible for the Department of Revenue is responsible for the preparation of union budget. Preparation of the union budget. Number 2. No amount can be withdrawn from consolidated fund of India. No amount can be withdrawn from consolidated fund of India without authorization of Parliament. Without authorization of Parliament. Number 3. All the disbursement made from public account. All the disbursement made from public account also need the authorization from the Parliament. Which of the above statement is or are correct? Which of the above statement is or are correct? If you want, you can also note that code. Code A 1 2, 1 2, code B 1 3, code C 2 only, and code D 2 3. 2 3. Take one by one statement of question. You have to the statement is or are correct. Number 1, Department of Revenue is responsible for the preparation of union budget. Is it wrong? Department of Finance. Department of Finance is responsible for the preparation of the union budget and not the Revenue Department. Within the Finance Department, which subsection is more responsible? Economic Affairs. Within the Finance Department, there is a subsection Economic Affairs. And if in that choice, Finance Department is not given, suppose Finance Department is not given and instead Economic Affairs of the Finance Department, then that is the correct answer. Economic Affairs is more responsible for the preparation of the budget that is presented annually in the Parliament. So, here number 1 is wrong. But now itself you can cancel that ABC wherever statement number 1 is coming. For example, A 1 and 2, 1 is wrong, we know. So, A choice now itself we can cancel. B also is consisting of 1 3, B is also now cancelled. Then C and D alone our reference. Then the next one is what? No amount can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India without authorization of Parliament. That is correct. Without authorization of the Parliament, no amount can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Account of India. That we have already seen, correct statement. But 2 is correct. But 2 comes in C as well as D. So, wait, take the third one. Number 3. All the disbursement made from public account also need authorization from the public. Do you find authorization from the Parliament is necessary for the withdrawal of money from the public account? No, not at all. No request, no concurrence of the Parliament is necessary for withdrawal operation of the public account. That is wrong. There is only one statement that is correct, which is that 2 alone is correct. 2 comes in C code. Code C is the only one answer which is correct. Then another question that is asked in 2000. Another question that is asked in 2016 is that which of the following are included in the capital budget of Government of India? Which of the following are included in the capital budget of Government of India? Capital budget means capital account, capital budget and capital account is same. In the capital budget of Government of India, 1. Expenditures on acquisition of assets like road, building, machineries, etc. Expenditures on acquisition of assets like road, building, machineries, etc. Number 2. Loans received from foreign government. Loans received from the foreign government. Number 3. Loans and advances. Loans and advances granted to states and union territories. Granted to states and union territories. then options also you write A 1 2, B 1 3, C 1 2 3, D 2 3, D 2 3. Look at that question. Which of the following are included in the capital budget government of India? Capital budget എന്നേ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളൂ. So it can be a revenue in the capital budget or an expenditure met from the capital account. Number 1. Expenditure on acquisition of assets like road, building, machineries, etc. What is the purpose of capital account? Asset formation, wealth creation, productive purposes. That is capital account. Maintained for wealth creation, asset formation, capital formation, income generation, productive purposes, it is maintained. About the item given is expenditure on acquisition of assets like road, building, machineries, etc. Within the statement itself, answer is also given. Assets like building, road, etc. There is no confusion therefore that road is an asset, building is an asset, machinery is an asset. In the question, in the statement itself, it is noted that assets like road, building, machinery, etc. Therefore, of course, correct. It is met from capital account expenditure side. Met from the capital account expenditure side, the road expenditure, maintenance of construction of road expenditure, machinery expenditures, all are met from the capital account expenditure side. Correct? It is expenditure in the capital account. Loans received from the foreign government. Loans received, recovery of loans. Loans received either from the domestic or from international sources. What amount you receive is included in the revenue side of the capital account. Correct. It is also an item in the capital account revenue side. The other one is expenditure side. This is revenue side. Number 3. Loans and advances granted to states and union territories. Where? Loans and advances granted to the state government and union territories are met from the revenue account or from the capital account. Wrong. Sentence you read. All the students have committed mistake at that time. What is given? Loans and advances are granted, not grants. Grants given by the central government to the state government are met from the revenue account because grants given by the central government to the state governments are unproductive to the central government. ഇവിടെ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത് അതല്ല. Loans and advances granted എന്നാണ്. Loans and advances given, loans and advances granted. Loans and advances granted are repaid. Interest is also paid. It is profitable to central government. It is met from capital account. അപ്പോൾ ഒരൊറ്റ വേർഡാണ്. The only one word the many students committed that mistake. Because they have already by-hearted. Already they have by-hearted grants given by the central government is central government to the state government is met from the revenue account. They have by-hearted. Unfortunately, the question was loans and advances granted by the central government to the state government. As it is loans and advances, it is not grants. It is not about the grants, it speaks about loans and advances given by the central government, which is productive and it is met from capital account. So, all 1, 2, 3 are capital account either receipt side or on the expenditure side. So, the question was also that all 1, 2, 3 that code is C. Code C is to be accepted. Our many types of questions from so much also can be asked. For the multiple choice question, many such questions can be asked. You remember all these things. Here also that is given to the state government. It is given to the state government and the state government will distribute to the local government. And there will also be the provision for the distribution of this fund, the local bodies separately it will be given. And that is also either maybe the loans given by the central government to the state government or the grants, that may be. So, you see, consolidation budget is prepared on consolidating in particular manner the revenue account as well as the capital account. So, the consolidation account, which is consisting of revenue account as well as the capital account, is consolidated in a particular manner to formulate the consolidation budget. Based on the nature of the consolidation account, based on the features or the amount included on various items in the consolidation budget, budget can be classified into different types. There are different types of budget on basis of the characteristic features of the consolidation budget. 1. Budget can be a balanced budget on provision, on basis of the accounts given, amounts given. On the consolidation account, on verification of the consolidation account, we sometimes say that budget is a balanced budget. Under what circumstance we say that the budget is a balanced budget? When the total revenue shown in the consolidation account is equal to the total expenditure mentioned on various items. When the total revenue is equal to the total expenditure in the consolidation account, we say there is neither excess nor deficit in revenue. The complete revenue raised is used for expenditure purposes, either for the revenue expenditure purposes or for the capital expenditure purposes. The entire revenue received by the government is completely spent according to the provisions contained in the consolidation account. This is what is known as a balanced budget. We, the economists, recommend the government to prepare a balanced account only when the economic condition of the economy is normal. Normal situation only. What do you mean by normal situation? No inflationary pressure, no crisis, no depression, no natural calamities, nothing, no war. It is not a war period. No such extremity is existing. No war, no financial stringency crisis, no depression, nothing. No natural calamity, flood, drought and such things are also not there. The situation is very normal, calm, cool, and atmosphere is existing. No speciality, no contingency is existing. We, the economists, advise the government to prepare a balanced budget. On the other hand, on verification of the consolidation budget, we may also find that it can be a surplus budget. If we verify the consolidation account, we may sometimes find that it is a surplus budget. What do you mean by surplus budget? Surplus budget means total revenue shown in the account greater than the total expenditures mentioned in the consolidation account. Total revenue and total expenditure, when you make a comparison, we find that the total revenue is exceeding, more revenue is collected by the government, but less amount alone spent on various items of expenditures. Expenditures are cut short. Balance amount of revenue is maintained. Appo total revenue minus total expenditure is a positive figure. Total revenue minus total expenditure is a positive figure, and the positive figure is a surplus. And the surplus is the revenue which is maintained in the treasury unspent. Such a type of budget is what is known as the surplus budget. And we recommend to prepare a surplus budget during inflationary period. Remember, it is only an inflationary period we suggest the government, central or the state government, to prepare a surplus budget. Why? Why a surplus budget recommended for preparation during the inflationary period. You know, inflation means root cause for inflation is too much quantity of money circulating in the economy, too much quantity of money chasing too few goods and services, too much quantity of money chasing too much quantity of money chasing too few goods and services in the economy, resulting price hike is known as inflation. About the root cause for inflation to occur is excess quantity of money in circulation. Too much quantity of money is in circulation. It can be black money, you don't know the source. You see that people have money with them, whether it is a black money or real money, they have sufficient money with them. They bring the money to buy goods and services from the market, but in the market there is no goods. Sufficient goods according to their demand is not available, so that too much quantity of money chasing too few goods and services, result price will go up. That is the reason for inflation in 90% of cases. Majority of cases, too much quantity of money is in circulation. But here also inflation is existing in the country, and too much quantity of money may already be in circulation in the country. Therefore, it is the duty of government to reduce expenditures. If government is also spending a lot of money on different provision during inflationary period, money supply in the market will go on increasing. That will help only to accumulate inflationary pressures in the country. So, the advice is that don't spend more. Government should not spend more money. If government is also spending a lot of money during that inflationary period, money pumped into the economy will be too big in size, inflation will go on increase. But the advice is that reduce expenditures. During inflationary period, government should reduce expenditures. In order to reduce expenditures, government should prepare a surplus budget. Total revenue excess compared to total expenditure. Reduce expenditure and keep surplus revenue unspent in the treasury, for which a surplus budget is advised to prepare. The economists advise the government to prepare a surplus budget when there is inflation is existing in the country. On the other hand, when a budget can also be deficit budget. A budget can also be a deficit budget. What do you mean by deficit budget? Opposite of this surplus budget. When total revenue is less than total expenditure. When the total revenue is less than the total expenditure, or total expenditure is greater than total revenue. Either we may say total expenditure is exceeding total revenue, or total revenue is less than total expenditure. Scarcity, insufficient money for government expenditures. That means if you take total expenditure minus total revenue, if there is a deficit budget, total expenditure minus total revenue will be a positive figure. Total expenditure minus total revenue will be a positive figure. That positive figure is what is called deficit in the budget. Money is not available. Money is not available for the entire expenditures shown in the budget. Insufficient. Insufficient money for government expenditures. Government is spending a lot of money on different items of expenditure. By preparing a deficit budget, we the economists advise government to prepare a deficit budget only during depression period. Only during depression period, only during a depression period, the government is advised to prepare a deficit budget by economists. Why? Because during depression period, depression crisis situation, production is low, income is low, general employment opportunity is low, prices in general also low, everything at a lower level. Production low, income low, employment opportunity is low, a crisis is felt in the economy. What may be the root cause? The root cause may be lack of sufficient income in the economy, lack of sufficient demand for commodities, lack of sufficient money flow into the economy may be the reason for crisis and depression. For example, today now we are facing a downtrend. We are facing a downtrend in the Indian economy at present. GDP growth rate is declining, production is declining. We find such a downtrend is there. And what is the intention? Monetary packages government have introduced to revive the economy. To revive the economy from downtrend, monetary packages are used. Because if the downtrend is allowed, once the economy turns down, the downtrend may be quicker, it may come down to the floor level. Very quicker, in a speed, high speed, the economy may come down to a floor level if it shows a symptom of downtrend. But before allowing the economy to come down to a floor depression level, revival of the economy, monetary packages we have to introduce to revive the economy from the downtrend. One such a measure is depression period, where you are asked to prepare, government is asked to prepare a deficit budget. Why a deficit budget? Spend more, that is the meaning here. Total expenditure shall be more than total revenue, and the difference between total expenditure and total revenue shall be a positive figure. Our government is spending a lot of money on different items without considering the revenue. Revenue is very low. From where, which source government may raise more money for the government expenditure if the budget is a deficit? That is what is called deficit financing. That is called deficit financing, in order to finance the deficit in the budget. In order to finance the deficit in the budget, government is to find out other sources. Government is to find other sources to deficit financing. Pump more money into the economy necessary, and for that we are advising the government to prepare a deficit budget during depression period. That is a multiple choice, many type of multiple choice question can be asked from so much. That means you may remember that the budget on the basis of the consolidation can be classified into three types. One is called balanced budget. Balanced budget is prepared during the normal period when there is no extraordinary situations like crisis situation, or we may say the natural calamity or war, nothing is there. You are asked to prepare a balanced budget, keeping equality of total revenue and total expenditure in the budget. On the other hand, if there is an inflationary situation, too much quantity of money already in circulation reason, so spend less. In order to spend less, prepare a surplus budget. That is a cure for inflation. To reduce the inflationary pressure, we have to prepare a surplus budget. On the other hand, if there is a depression, crisis, natural calamity, any such extraordinary situation is there, we have to revive the economy using deficit budget. Using deficit budget, you have to revive that economy, pump more money into the economy necessary, and that is why total expenditure is exceeding total revenue when the deficit budget is prepared by government. During depression period only we advise. Only during depression period we advise the government to prepare a deficit budget, otherwise a surplus budget during inflationary period, and a normal period balanced budget. That is called fiscal policy. fiscal policy. That is called the fiscal policy of government, FISCAL. Fiscal policies of government. Government fiscal policies. What do you mean by government fiscal policies? Government fiscal policies are budgetary policies. Budgetary policies. Prepare a surplus budget during inflationary period, prepare a deficit budget during depression period, prepare balanced budget during normal period is fiscal policy. One. Another way we may say, in all these cases we have expenditure as well as taxation. As I said, TR, total revenue, one of the most important revenue sources is taxation. Any matter relating to expenditure of government is a fiscal policy. Any matter relating to expenditure of government is a fiscal policy. Either spend more or less or same as revenue, that is a fiscal policy measure. Expenditure policy is a fiscal policy. Here, total revenue, one of the most important source of revenue is taxation. Our taxation policy is a fiscal policy. Policy is consisting of the budgetary policy, fiscal policy is consisting of the taxation policy, fiscal policy can also be the of government to control the economic situation. To control the economic situation, fiscal policy is adopted by government. Fiscal packages, taxation, government expenditure, budget can be taken as a source for controlling the economic system. Over here, out of these three, you may know that irrespective of whether there is inflation or deflation or normal situation existing in India, since our independence, all time our budget is deficit. Whether there is inflation or there is depression or there is nothing, no, normality is existing, our budget, there is a persistent tendency to prepare a deficit budget year after year in the Indian context. Why? Because political. That means government want the support of the general public. General public support is very necessary for the government to sustain. If the government is preparing a surplus budget during inflationary period as advocated by economists, people will criticize. Layman, they will criticize. They will say that government have no expenditure, government is reducing the expenditure, government is unwantedly collecting a large amount of money by tax, government is excusing the people, and the tax amount collected by government is kept unspent in the treasury. We are opposing the government, so that it may affect the next election also sometimes. In order to avoid such criticism, a government is not going for such a deficit budget, spend more. The government is not going for a surplus budget, and instead government is taking only a deficit budget. A deficit budget is taken by the